Hello everyone and welcome to the fourth round of the Continental Circus Season 25-3, sponsored by Coach Dave Delta. Today we are, as you can already see, at Bahrain, a beautiful circuit in Bahrain, of course. Where else would it be? My name is Julian Strasser, and today I'm going to be commentating, as in the past rounds, with Sebastiano Rossi. How are you doing?
Hello, Julian. Hello, chat. I'm doing pretty well, thank you, and hopefully everyone is doing pretty well as well. I would be expecting a dry race, despite the fact that we're in Bahrain. And I would expect us to see quite a lot of action on track and a lot of pit stops.
Yeah, Bahrain, right. Exactly. Having talked about this now, it is, well, we're already in the qualifying session. So let us take a look at the bunch of drivers who are participating today, of course. There we go. Of course, we have quite a lot of
Nice.
people currently in today. Very prominently, and let's quickly go over the standings for a hypercar class. Out of the drivers we have here today, Ichon de Jong is currently the clear leader in the championship. We have one drop round, of course, and the drop round for Ichon de Jong was first round, which was a P6. But round 2 and round 3 have both been a P1. So he's currently leading the standings with 52 points, ahead of Patrick Silvasi, who has currently scoring a first and a second position finish, so up on 45 points. I will have to add as well, the 52 points for Ichon de Jong are also because of a fastest lap bonus point that he got. And in third position right now is the person that in the practice session had the best lap time, Joseph German, or Joseph Herman, because he is Mexican. So it's not pronounced German. I'm still gonna say German, just because.
Oh man, you're going to get the entire nation of Mexico up on your ass, Julian. You gotta be careful if you do that.
Nah,
just kidding.
Nah, they're not gonna be angry with me because they literally have, what was it? They have a square in Mexico City which is named after their first Habsburg ruler, I think. Yes, the Habsburgs, the famous Austrian royalty family, ruled in Mexico. And apparently those times over there were not the worst. So
Yeah.
yay.
So they say.
Yeah,
So to be fair, they also shot that Habsburg dead, so you should also consider that.
There's still a square named after him, so it can't have been that bad.
Fair enough.
Looking at the GT3 standings real quick, we have the leading driver not participating today, it seems. That would have been Omet Ohm. But they are either not in the server yet or not participating today at all. However, they do have 2 first place finishes in the last 2 rounds, and the drop round currently is a 7th place finish in the first round. And the second position driver is here today, Tommy Leto. We've seen quite a few of him in the previous races. Most notably, his race win in the first round at Sebring, which was quite a show. Last time around, it was only a 4th place. The time before, there was also only a 4th place, in quotation marks. However, he's the one closest on the heels of Omet Ohm, and if Omet Ohm really doesn't participate today, then there's quite a lot of points to be able to be caught up by Tommy Leto.
Yeah, that is true. And I mean, like, considering the Tommy Leto's great result in race 1 and also consistent results in race 2 and race 3, I would expect the Finnish driver to actually do very well. I would actually go as far as saying that he's one of my 2 contenders when it comes to... my top contender when it comes to championship win here in GT3s, with the second contender being right now in P2, Alex Curto.
Yeah, Alex Curto has had a bit of a bad luck in previous races. Only having a DNF in the first round due to internet issues, a P6 in the second round due to collision issues, and a P2 in the last round due to being slower than Omet Ohm. But
So a skill issue.
You could say that, yes.
Yeah, I could say that, but Alex Curto has more talent in his pinky that I have in my entire body, so I should refrain from saying such things before he firebombs my house.
That is fair enough. So he's currently in P6 in the championship, however possible to catch up quite a bit today with a nice finish. And the person currently in P3 also looks to be not participating today. It is Julian Metzner, who, yeah, is either not in the server yet or not participating today at all. But now let's take a look at what is happening on the track. We have Ethan de Jong, of course, being in the lead in qualifying right now. Joseph German earlier was quicker in the practice session. However, right now, looking to be 5 tenths down, with Edwin Law right now setting a time only 3.5 tenths down off Ethan de Jong. Patrick Salvasi as well, despite being P2 in the championship, only in P4 right now, 7 tenths down. Salvasi has had most of his points, I would say, just by consistency alone. Consistently being up there and not being entwined in any incidents.
So yeah, our hypercar drivers, they're able to get more consistent results compared to our top GT3 drivers, I would say, especially the Young, Low, Herman, Silvasi. Like, this is the Toyota gang, and those guys know what they're doing. They're very, very fast.
And it seems like Alex Curto also knows what he's doing. Look at that, 1 second ahead of Tommy Leto right now in the qualifying times.
Very good, very good. Also, I've been thinking, maybe this is the round that Matt Holm wants to take as their drop round. Maybe they don't like Bahrain as a track, then they would rather prefer bank everything on Le Mans, especially because, as far as I'm aware, Le Mans might be a race where we might see a lot of people dropping that round.
Look, that is a fair point. However, Umet Om also already had a 7th position in Sebring, which
that is true.
Which should be the drop round.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, Umet Om really needs to get on the server real soon, because otherwise they're going to be quite behind in points compared to Alex Curto and Tommy Leto.
For now, though, it looks like Alex Curto is still going quicker than previously. Quicker in the first sector, quicker in the second sector, and now in the third sector. Let's take a look. Yes, improving by 3 tenths, now 1.29 tenths ahead of Tommy Leto.
He is flying. That is impressive. 201.1 compared to the rest of the competition. As Tommy Leto already set a very impressive lap, as we're seeing Adrian Bonfem quite behind Tommy Leto. And wow. Now Patrick Silvasi looks like they're going to improve on their personal best. They're going to be very close to it on the Young. Are they going to be able to gain quite enough in the last sector to be able to... No. They are not able to get P1. Also, I got confirmation that Ometom overslept, but does intend to take part in this round.
Oh, okay. As Adriel Bouffin is now improving on the lap time, bringing them closer, but still 1.6 seconds down. It really looks like this is going to be the round for Alex Curto, who is yet going faster. Look at that first sector, again in the purple. Daniel Nagaitsev is a bit further ahead, with a middle sector to forget, but the first sector being very much on point. So I think there's great potential for Nagaitsev to get up to pace with the rest of the Toyota gang.
Yeah, but for sure not in that lap. If you're going to lose 2 seconds in the middle sector, you might as well go, well, I'm going to save the battery, I'm going to save the tires, and then I'm just going to send it on the following lap and just try my best there, as we're now seeing Alex Curto with not the greatest of middle sectors, but an improvement in the first sector. Now we're going to see the Aston Martin approach the finish line. Is Alex Curto going to be able to salvage something in the last sector? I don't think so. Well, I mean, he was able to. I think his optimal would be in the 2:00.9.8 maybe. So that is a massive showing from Alex Curto. There is later also here with a very nice P4. I think that's an improvement on their personal best.
Yeah, there was an improvement from P7 up to P4 here by Gary Slater.
Oh, nice. I did not notice the position improvement, just the lap improvement. My bad.
Adrian Bonfin also currently on a lap. However, it doesn't look like it's going to be an improvement. 1.6 seconds down, already lost 1.4 seconds in the first two sectors here. It looks like especially the middle sector is where Alex Curto is gaining quite a lot of time on the rest of the grid. Does improve Edril Bonfeur here, last sector being very close. However, not enough to gain a position. Not close to Tommy Later, who just started his next running lap. Terry Lau as well, middle sector plus 1.1 seconds. It just looks like Alex Curto is in another world in that middle sector specifically.
Yeah, like that's quick. Especially because the gap technically to Alex Curto increased in the middle sector for Terry Lowe. However, like, that's a green box, and the previous one was a yellow one. So there is technically improvement for Terry Lowe in the middle sector.
2,000.
Wow.
Terry Lowe now 2,000 ahead of Gary Slater into P4. Now that is going to be a challenge for Gary Slater. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to catch it back this time around, but maybe next lap he will have an answer for the challenge of Terry Lowe.
I can tell you for sure he's going to be a great race between these two. So I will say to everyone in the audience to keep an eye on the GT3 grid, because I'm 100% expecting the biggest action in on the grid, like the biggest battles to happen in the GT3 class. I mean, well, to be fair, also the hypercar. Now that I'm looking back at the top 5, they're also pretty close. So actually, scratch what I said. I think we are going to see a lot of good action today. Yes, it on the young improves.
Oh, I mean, that is strong showing by Chun De Jong here, putting himself almost 4/10 up ahead of Edwin Law, who just now left the pits, is now on their out lap. Quite a bit further down with Ben Law, the brother of Edwin Law, trying to improve on that time. Currently,
P8.
Currently in P8, exactly.
I don't think that was an improvement. I think there was quite a lot of time in the last sector, so an improvement. Resca Chioso, an old regular of ours, here in, I think, yeah, there is going to be Resca Chioso's last qualifying lap, so let's see how it will go for the British driver, Jose Ferman, also approaching the finish line. That's an improvement, I think.
It's not an improvement.
Oh no.
It is an improvement in the last sector, but otherwise, no. Josef Herman still has one more shot, however, to improve. Estas Victoras Putikaitis after this lap. That was an improvement.
See, that's an improvement.
Ahead of Ben Lorna. Yeah, beautiful. The Valkyries are battling it out amongst each other.
Not bad, not bad. That's a nice showing from them. As Eton De Jong, ooh, that's a good middle sector, but they lost something in the first sector, so in theory, they need to get half a tenth back somewhere in order to be able to improve on their personal best. Let's see now, they are going to approach the finish line. They should have, in theory, enough time for another lap, but do they have enough battery and enough fuel? It's not an improvement.
It is not an improvement, you're correct. Maybe Ben Law has the pace for an improvement right now. That is 2.5 seconds now down, so half a second still of play in the last sector. Let's take a look what the Valkyrie can do. From a 48.85 to a 48.97. That is not an improvement.
Yeah.
Reska Kioso shortly following that with from a 49.2 to a 48.6. Now ahead of Ben Law, up a position. Looking back to the GT3 grid real quick, we still have a bunch of laps going on here. It looks like Gary Slater is still on a lap, however, We'll have to see whether he can improve ahead of Terry Law. There's still the 2000s between the two drivers, separating them in 5th and 6th position.
I would like to point out that Omet Hom was able to join, I think, until a second and put the car in P4. So good on Omet, as I think they're also trying to... Wait, that's an outlap, right?
I don't think it's an outlap. I think it's an invalidated lap, however.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, we're going to see Omet Hom putting in some extra practice using this extra time here in qualifying to... you know, practice some more, be able to just do, how do you say it, you know, familiarize yourself with the track better. So I think that's what Ometom just did right there. Very smart use of the time, considering their situation, so not bad at all.
And Gary Slater managed to snatch P5 back from Terry Lau. Now, that is not going to change much. They're still going to start on the same row, I believe. Yeah, because we do have 12 hypercars. We're going to start on the same row. However, there's still going to be a bit of a... Well, it's not going to start on the inside, the better line, technically.
And
And
that is going to be the dirty part of the starting grid.
Teams and drivers go to
So,
the grid for a race.
best of luck to the drivers that start there.
But for now, let's take a look at the starting order for this race. In row 1, for the hypercars, we have Ethan de Jong on pole, followed by Edwin Law. And the Toyota game continues with Patrick Salvasi on P3 and Josef Herman on P4. In row 3, we have Daniel Negaitev and Sam Winton right next to each other, the first of the Valkyries. We have Eric Gregis in P7 and Viktoras Putikaitis in P8. That's row 4. Row 5 is Reska Kioso, followed by Ben Law. We're coming up with the rest of the Valkyries here. And then we have G-Fox, Foxington, and Amethyst of YouTube, the BMWs, on row 6.
Then we technically also have row 7, but I think those are drivers that did not show up, as we are now on row 8 with Alex Curto and Adriel Bonfirm, which was able to put it in P2, I think, at the end. Then Tommy Leto and Omet Hom in row 9, concluding the top 4 or the very fast drivers that are going to contend the title, in my opinion. Gary Slater and Terry Law, also fast drivers, that are right ahead of Jan Seppa and Ubidius. I think the only Mustang on the grid. Then Paul Niklas Pavlik and Lian Brownie here on the grid in row 12. And, oh, that is all? Okay, that's all.
That's the grid. That's the drivers that we have for today. And that is
Lab has started.
going to be the start of the formation lab now.
It's going to be interesting here. It is 100% going to be interesting, especially because, okay, they're starting on the second to last straight, okay. As one thing I've noticed, the Toyota is is the most used car, of course, but the second most used car, I'm surprised it is the Valkyrie, especially considering its real life results. And I'm surprised to not see like a lot of more Porsches, only one Ferrari. The hypercar class is pretty interesting in my opinion, especially when it comes to driver choice.
It's not a surprise to me. Just looking at the Valkyrie, it's not a surprise to me. It's beautiful. It is a beautiful hypercar. The Toyota also not half bad. It seems to be better even when it comes to performance. I would have to see whether Ethan de Jong can win again today. We'll have to take a look. There's a beautiful start with quite a lot of the hypercars. We're already going 3 wide there. Quite a lot of Valkyries right next to each other. Also the battle for P2. Who's going to come out in front there? It looks like there's a battle between Edwin Law and Joseph Herman for the second position. And Josef Herman is in the lead of the two. There's quite a lot of battling going on in the back as well. There's also battling for the GT3s. Here we are with on Ubi Diaz, battling with Jan Seppa and Gary Slater right behind, going for an overtake here. Oh, very late on the brakes and immediately getting overtaken once again.
very good showing here, extremely good showing from our drivers. As right now we're going to see a battle between two naturally aspirated V8s, which are, however, in a BMW sandwich. Rubidius going a bit wide, missing an apex. Gary Slater also missing an apex. So, yeah, welcome to the club, guys. Missing apexes is what I do here, there, and everywhere, as they're now heading towards the other pits. I think there was the car of Seppa that also missed an apex, as Ometon was able to put the car in P3, now chasing Adriel Bonfem.
Adriel Bonfem also had a very good start, and Tommy Lato seemed to have a horrible start getting back into P4.
Yeah, not the greatest of starts from the Finnish driver, which is a shame, but it could be worse. They were still able to keep P4, which allows them to be striking distance of the top guys. And speaking of striking distance, we have Patrick Silvasi and Edwin Lowe. While I don't think they're going to do it right now. Ooh, was that a BMW in the pits? That was a BMW hypercar in the pits. Ametista in the pit lane. It's a surprise. I think they got a retro. Because otherwise, I will not be able to explain why they are sending it into the pits.
Most likely a drive-through, yeah, and we're now on board with Sam Winton here, who is following Reska Kioson right ahead of Eric Regis. That is a custom livery, beautiful custom livery, I have to say. I like the color scheme.
Yeah, it does remind me of Lithium Fox a little bit. Is it just me?
I think that no. I think they're also like good friends. They're also regularly racing with one another, and Sam Winton is regularly in both Lithium Fox's and Reska Kioso's chats.
Yeah, so I mean that is nice for them to show a friend-colored livery, as we are now seeing two friends actually, Sam Winton and Reska Kioso, looking it out here on the other straight as they are now heading towards the third sector. Pretty close, but is that close enough to send it?
Not close enough to go for a move right now. Potentially there will be a chance for Tommy Later right now, who has been able, well, both of them have been able to get past Adriel Bonfim. Potentially a mistake there, as Alex Kircher is already 4 seconds ahead of Omet here, who is now in P2, now has the clear space ahead of her to try and catch up.
And also to try and mayonnaise. Oh, what happened to Tommy Leto? Oh no, I think he cringed so hard at my joke that he just said, well, screw this, I'm going to disconnect.
Yeah.
Jokes aside, yeah, I got it for Tommy Leto, but I guess they could use this as their drop round. So it's not the end of the day, nonetheless, that is not the best of results for our Finnish driver, as we're now seeing hypercars already passing some cheating wins.
I think that is Amethysta V2, who was in the pits in after the first lap.
Oh, okay, so it's technically for our position.
Yeah, but Terry Lau now trying to smell an opportunity. Going to the inside with the big sniffer, but not side by side enough to go for an overtake on the Lexus of Gary Slater. Gary Slater keeping it in P6 for now. However, it doesn't seem like Terry Lau will let that go easily.
Good for them for keeping it clean twice in a row. It is, in my experience, very easy to actually bump the rear corner of a car. So good for them for actually not doing that and keeping it clean. But that's a very nice job, as they are now heading towards the middle sector. Speaking of side by side, the two friends are now duking it out, with Eric Gregis also smelling an opportunity with that Ferrari to seize a position and maybe get something. I mean, Eric Gregis is right behind Sam Winton, is going to take the racing lines. Winton is going to go defensive. Is Eric Gregis going to try this switchback? Doesn't look like it, as these guys are going to still race hard, as everyone is going into the pits. No, not everyone. I think I saw a Valkyrie besides Nagai Sev. Okay, yeah, that is Putsakatis. So 2 drivers again in the pits. I don't know the reason, but that is quite... That is way too early for a pit stop. So that is interesting.
I mean,
They probably had their own reasons to do so, but nonetheless, that is an interesting pick. As we are now going back to this battle between a Japanese, a British, and an Italian.
I mean, potentially the reason why they have to pit is track limits.
Oh yeah.
Like, Bahrain is one of these circuits where you like to coast the curbs as much as possible in some of the corners, I would say. And if you just take him a bit too much, yeah, that will not feel good. The game will feel cheated and will potentially hand you a penalty for that.
Yeah, that is fair enough. However, if you get a penalty after, what, 6 minutes? Like, I don't want to be harsh, but it is difficult to get a penalty after 6 minutes, so...
Definitely.
That genuinely caught me by surprise, not going to lie. Back into the action now. Those hypercars that had to serve a penalty, I think, are now going to break some of the GT3 battles. So the GT drivers are not going to appreciate those hypercar drivers getting track limits. And oh, and we know! That was very close. Oh, that was Gary Slater spinning. That was Gary Slater spinning as they're losing positions. As we're now also seeing Edwin Loeb right behind Jose Fernandez. Yeah, there it is. Gary Slater, yeah, getting flipped by Terry Lowe and losing a position. I think that the stewards, aka Julian, are going to want to have a closer look at that because, ooh, that was nasty.
Yeah.
That means, yeah, Paul
Yeah.
Niklas Pavlik and Liam Brownie are also going to be able to say, well, thank you for the free position, as they're now going to keep on battling here in this last sector. Please go ahead, Julian, and say what you wanted to say, sorry.
No, I just wanted to say yeah, because stewarding.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Everything's... we'll have to see whether that gets reported in the end. Sam Winton now is still going defensive from Eric Regis while trying to catch up. Not only catch up, but overtake Reska Kyoso perhaps. Slow exit though out of this corner now. But able to catch up so much here in the braking zone. Sam Winton and Reska Kyoso. It's really... Potentially it's a difference between the two cars. Potentially it's a difference in different skill or expertise sectors between the two.
Setup as well.
Yeah, setup as well, potentially. They are, however, fighting quite heavily and they are not handing each other an inch. Battling for P5 right now, and Sam Winton just going a bit wide. They're trying to go for a wider line into the corner, however getting the car a bit unsettled in the process.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are really trying to push as hard as they possibly can, but is that going to be enough to actually be able to get the position? Because something I've noticed with Eric Regis, looks like they can't quite keep the pace to the 10th, like they're maybe off by a few tenths compared to Winton and Reska Kyoso. However, these two will always bicker and do something because Winton will catch up to Reska Kyoso, they will both lose time, and that will always allow Eric Regis to catch back some time and still be in the battle. So that is a very interesting trinamic, depending on how you want to call it, with these three cars, as Ben Lowe is technically still hanging around behind them and can do something funny in case anything funny were to happen.
I think Ben Law is really relishing in the fact that these three are battling here, catching up to this battle, trying to make it a four-way battle for P5 between the four of them. That is going to... I mean, if that were to happen, boy, would they all be stressed, but boy, would it deliver a great show.
That is true, and I mean, we're all in for a great show after all. That will make very entertaining for us, the casters, and also for the audience. And speaking of entertainment about the casters, I just saw today in my feed a clip of an old competitive Pokemon battle that went on for, I think, almost an hour, and so I'm glad that we have much better action here on track, which is actually quite exciting. Nobody wants to see 1 hour of nothing. So I genuinely appreciate our drivers for actually giving us some action, as Terry actually lost a little bit of traction, speaking of action. At the first corner, as that means they lost some time to Liam Brownie, which is also right behind Pavlik, and yeah, these drivers are still going to try and see what they can do. However, Terry Low, we saw them faster in qualifying, probably a little bit faster than these two here in the race as well. However, you cannot really push away Zduerka out of the way, as we are now seeing Liam Brownie going defensive and defending the position, which means Terry Low, despite being a faster driver, they still have to find a way around the Corvette, and I think Liam Brownie will try to make it as wide as possible. However, there is a hypercar coming up, which means it could be potentially an occasion for Low to do something. Now, I think that was De Jong, which was able to just pass them here easily. However, there are more hypercars coming up, which means more occasions for this battle to be broken for either better or worse.
Yeah, and also there's a battle between Josef Herman and Edwin Law here for P2, while they are currently lapping this battle in GT3s. So there's multiple battles going on right now, and it seems that Edwin Law lost quite a lot, caught up behind, having to stay behind GT3s. Paul Niklas Pavlik, on the other hand, gained quite a bit. Now has a bit of a distance to Linian Brown, who has to still contend with Terry Lau.
Yeah, I would say the Public was the big winner of this lapping session, as now these three guys, as Eric Regis was able to overtake Sam Winton, very nice on the Czech driver, as they're now going to... Reska Kyoso in the... Oh no, not in the bits, okay, Reska Kyoso was trying to get the slipstream of that Lexus, as now Eric Regis will get Reska Kyoso's slipstream, and we will see what the Czech driver is going to be able to do on the British driver.
Yeah, and Sam Winton, of course, is not going to just give up on this entire thing. Sam Winton still lurking here in the back, maybe even thinking, okay, Eric, you try and catch up and overtake Reska for now. I'm gonna stay back here, I'm gonna look at what you're doing. If you don't do it in the next couple laps, I'm gonna go ahead again and I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, also, if you're staying behind those two drivers that are battling it out, they're going to waste a lot of virtual energy tank, while you can just save a little bit. Maybe they're losing time, you're not going to send it too hard, you can use that occasion to save a little bit of virtual energy tank and potentially overtake them on strategy. So it will be interesting to see what Sam Winton will do. However, slow exit from Reska Kyoso, as Eric Regis is able to snatch that P5. As also, I think Sam Winton went a little bit wide. Yeah, that Ferrari is now in P5, and I think that is currently the best position Eric Regis has found himself in for the entire championship. Very nice.
And they are now catching up to the three-way battle in GT3s. So we'll have to see how the lapping works here. Between the three, Linian Brown now ahead. It looks like Pavlik lost out in positions here. Easily lapping those three. Eric Regis, however, going for a bit of a defensive line. Reska Kyoso maybe able to cut back here. Not quite gaining the traction out of the corner. However, within the slipstream, let's take a look whether the straight line speed of the Toyota is enough to out-drag the Ferrari here towards the end. It does look quite well on the brakes. Yeah, Reska Kyoso easily taking the position back into P5. Eric Regis is now back into P6, and Sam Winton still looking at this battle.
Yeah, to be fair, Reska Kyoso did not have the greatest of exits from there, as now they also have to contend with lap traffic of, I think, Kubidius, as that is going to slow down these chasing cars quite a lot, as also Liam Brownie and Terry Low trying to get the position on them, as Pavlik, I think lost the position on both of them. And there is going to be that Valkyrie behind them that has to wait, because I mean that's literally a wall of GT3s. You cannot do much in that occasion. However, Liam Brown, I think, made a little bit of a mistake. Not sure if that was an intentional defense. But yeah, Terrilo is forced to go around the outside. Now Terrilo will have the inside. Oh wow, oh wow. There is a lot of things happening. 4 wide, I think they went at one point. As Van Loo went extremely wide.
Yeah, Daniel
Wow.
Nagaitsev, clearly the winner out of this entire situation. Ben Law still back there, still fighting with the GT3s. Having to have been so patient here, losing 2 positions to G-Fox Foxington and to Daniel Nagaitsev. Just because this battle here, well, it took so much space of the circuit. But what can you do? It is a battle. There's not much that can be done in this situation. These drivers are not going to be thinking about the hypercar that is behind them. They're going to be thinking about the drivers they are battling with right in front, right behind. I mean, there are 2 other cars you are battling with at this point.
Yes, also speaking of cars battling, I've just noticed that Eric Gregis was able to pull more than 1 second between him and the duo of Resca Kioso and Sam Winton. Like, this battle is now fragmented, with the Ferrari actually being quite ahead. Then there is the Toyota and slightly behind the Aston Martin. So something must have happened. I don't know what precisely, but oh boy, not ideal, as Jose Ferman is right behind Ethan de Jong now.
Yeah, within 1 second again of Ethan de Jong, Jose Herman, that might have been a situation of lapping once again, where Ethan de Jong was not able to make it past immediately. However, crucially also, Joseph Herman not only able to catch up to Ethan de Jong, but also able to pull a 3-second gap to Edwin Law right behind, who is gonna lose quite a lot more time here, being stuck behind Tommy Leto, who did manage to rejoin the race, however, now 5 laps behind the next driver of Gary Slater.
As yeah, these 2 guys are still going to battle. And yeah, speaking of Gary Slater, like, I still cannot help but think about that collision and just feel so bad for them. Like, that was so unlucky. And speaking of unlucky, it looks like Eric Gregis is the complete opposite, because these 2 guys are still fighting, which means that Ferrari can just say, "Hi, sayonara, I'm going to see you on the finish line while you're battling." And Eric Gregis is going to do everything possible to put in a gap between himself and Resca Kioso, and also break that Toyota top 5. Because it's not anymore a Toyota top 5, there is that nasty Ferrari in the mid at the end. And so Resca Kioso, if he wants that Toyota top 5, he will have to work for that. As now G-Fox Foxington and Ben Loo are still fighting with, I think, Nagaitsev right behind them. Now Ben Loo is going to have the inside. Maybe G-Fox can try the cutback. Oh, bad exit from the both of them. And Nagaitsev is able to take advantage of that. Overtakes G-Fox Foxington, not quite yet. It is completed, but G-Fox Foxington can still try and send it. It is Nagaitsev that sends it on Ben Loo. And actually almost gains 2 positions, but that is a bad exit from Nagaitsev, which has yet to chase, which is going back to chase Ben Loo again.
Oh boy, they are not giving each other a single inch. I mean, we were expecting Daniel Nagaitsev to be quite a lot further up the grid at this point. Him struggling with Ben Law and G-Fox Foxington here does not mean anything particularly bad for Nagaitsev. It just means that the Valkyrie and the BMW are not as bad as the qualifying positions has led us to believe. Although it does look right now like the Porsche of Daniel Nagaitsev is getting a bit of a gap to the Valkyrie right behind. I think it's the middle sector that is a bit more technical and allowing the Porsche to spread its wings, as it were, compared to the V12 of the Valkyrie, which does not have a hybrid system.
Yeah, that Valkyrie will... Well, that Valkyrie will have to keep a BMW behind. However, Nagaitsev really is showing that he does not belong there, as he's pulling a gap. Speaking of pulling a gap, I feel like that Eric Gregis cannot quite keep the gap from these 2 chasers. Is that how you say that in English? I forgot.
I mean,
But
he's
those
2
two guys
seconds
chasing
ahead.
him. Yeah, the gap seems stable. Like, does not seem like he's going to improve. Does not seem like he's going to shrink. It seems to be very stable, as Reska also does not get the best of exits there. Maybe Sam Winton was able to get a better exit than Reska also. Either way, is that Valkyrie is now dangerously close. He's diving down the inside, I think, with Reska also having to take a wide line to avoid a collision with the Little Fox colored Valkyrie. As that is a battle. That is a very interesting battle. Very nice.
Definitely is a
I'm glad to see
battle.
that.
Reska Kioso seemingly struggling a bit with braking this car. I mean, it is a challenge braking the hypercars. Of course, you don't have any ABS, and the hybrid also will work again, as Sam Winton really abusing the situation right now, going to the inside. This was such a simple overtake, it looked like. So easily done by Sam Winton in this situation. Reska Kioso, nothing he could have done, leaving a bit of a gap on the inside, and the Toyota driver is now back into the 7th position.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like that Reska also just let him pass, didn't put up any defense. And, you know, Sam Winton was like, I'll take it, thank you. And just went for it and took the position. And so, in order to get that top 5 full of Toyotas, Reska also will now have to work quite a lot. And I don't think that's going to be a possibility anymore, question mark. But I'm not too sure, as there is a yellow flag, and also we're going back to this battle for P1. Or since last time, Ethan de Jong, I think, was able to put a few tenths from Jose Ferman, as we saw Putsokaitis being chased by Amethyst Vitube. And yeah, I think they're going to get lapped by the top 2 of the race. So there is going to be some lapping action in Hypercar as well.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few drivers here who have clocked quite a lot more hours in hypercars on LMU than others. Ichan de Jong, Josef Herman, Edwin Law, famously regularly racing on Le Mans Ultimate. Amethyst VTube, Putikaitis have a little less experience. So it's completely normal to have some lapping action. These are very difficult cars to drive, especially if you don't have, I will say, hundreds of hours experience in them.
Yeah, I mean, as a reminder, those cars have, I think, more than 650 horsepower, so even with traction control, it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world to control them on acceleration. They also have no ABS, so they actually have quite a decent amount of downforce. So they're not the easiest cars in the world to drive compared to, say, a GT3, or potentially even a GTE, which are not used today, but are present in Le Mans Ultimate. So, yeah, I'm kinda not surprised that this is happening by the same time. That is big. It's a big gap.
Ichan de Jong now not having a big gap to Josef Herman, right behind, being caught a bit behind Paul Nicholas Pavlik here, and this means Josef Herman is now right on the battle. Linian Brown leaving space on the inside. However, I don't think there's going to be the best line here onto the back straight. Ichan de Jong is now very closely being battled with, now stuck here behind the BMW. Of course, it's not like they're holding up the hypercars. There's just, in some corners you just need to go single line. There is no other way about it, as the two are now catching up to Amethyst VTube as well, to lap the hypercar driver.
Yeah, I mean, I also spot Ubidius right ahead, as the GT3 is right behind. Almost gave me a scare, but no, they were just taking the corner normally. As Jose Ferman, wider entry, is he going to be able to translate that in a faster exit here on the main straight? Let's see. Oh, there are nice game with the slipstream by these drivers, as Ethan de Jong was able to negate slipstream from Jose Ferman for a brief second while gaining himself the slipstream. As side by side, almost 3 wider into turn 1, with Jose Ferman being very aggressive onto de Jong. As, man, that is great. That that is genuinely great, as we're now seeing Ethan Young having to watch again in his rearview mirrors because Jose Ferman says, hey, I'm here. If you want to drive with one eye on your rearview mirror because I'm not going anywhere.
I will say it was very close to between Ethan de Jong and Amethyst of VTube. I mean, that was millimeter work, a millimeter closer together, and they would have had contact. So it could have ended bad for both of them.
Yeah.
Luckily, both of them have enough control over the cars to not have had any issue there in that situation. Ethan de Jong now, however, still having to contend with some back markers. We have the BMW here. That is Janne Seppa, I believe. But Josef Herman smells the opportunity right now. I don't think anyone has ever been this close to Ethan de Jong in the last 2 races at least.
Yeah, I mean, Jose Ferman really putting in the work and I think he literally said, well, if no one is going to stop him, I might as well do that myself. So that is what is happening, as Ethan de Jong is really struggling with a very flamboyant Mexican, right, very present in his rearview mirrors.
May I remind you of the point standings, though, between the two? We have Josef Herman with 36 points currently in P3 of the championship standings, and Ethan de Jong on 52 points in the lead of the championship standings. So there is quite a gap, 16 points between the two. However, we still have this round and then the endurance round at Le Mans next week. So there's still quite a lot of points to be gained between the two. Josef Herman definitely doesn't look like he will want to give up this position easily.
Yeah, I mean, the Young is really putting up a really great defense. As I think that's Putsigat is retiring. I think that's also Derek Slater retiring. Ooh, that's not ideal. It's not ideal for our British driver, as we're now seeing Sam Winton catching up to Eric Gregis. So this battle is going to heat up yet again, and also I think I spotted maybe the reason why Rascatioso is this low, because look at his front bumper, look at his front splitter. I think that the Toyota does not really have a lot of front downforce. I think it is damaged. Yeah, I mean, to me it looks like it is damaged.
It might very well be the case. However, what we definitely know is that Sam Winton is catching up to Eric Gregis. Eric Gregis' best lap was a 1:49.332 so far, whereas the best lap for Sam Winton was 1:48.2. So, in terms of single lap pace, quite a lot quicker by Sam Winton. Now he just needs the opportunity to pass. And, well, being quicker is one thing, but being able to pass is a whole different scenario.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. Being fast is an art, overtaking is another one. Yeah, it is going to be very difficult for Sam Winton to do so, especially as I know Eric Gregis, as I'm one of his teammates, he's not the guy that really gives up easy.
Absolutely not. None of these drivers are people to give up easily, I would say, as Ben Law is now also in the pits, losing positions now to the GT3s on track, as Sam Winton on the inside of Ubi Diaz here will lose quite a lot of time thanks to that to Eric Gregis. Now 1.5 seconds behind. That was a godsend for Eric Gregis here, it seems, now being able to get a bit of a breather for a while from Sam Winton.
Now Ethan de Jong is... I was about to say Ethan de Jong is still in a precarious situation, and then Jose Ferman lost the car a little bit under throttle. Oh boy. But yeah, one thing that I want to mention about the battle for P5, I feel like Eric Gregis just delayed the battle that he will have with Sam Winton, because you said it before, Sam Winton is 1.1 second faster when it comes to fastest lap than Eric Gregis. So I feel like it is just a delay, like it's just this battle being delayed a little bit. But even a small delay can be quite detrimental for you if that is a lot, and I mean a lot of space that is going to be put between the two cars. So it's going to be difficult.
Definitely, but look at Josef Herman right now, being so aggressive, always moving out of the slipstream really quick before a big braking zone to try and catch Ichen de Jong off guard, maybe make him lock up the brakes slightly. But so far, it seems like Ichen de Jong is just way too steady, steadfast, mentally headstrong, not making any mistake, not allowing any opportunity for Josef Herman for an easy overtake.
Yeah, I have to agree. Ichen de Jong is really showing why they are P1 in the championship, but Josef Herman also showing that they are not slouch either. Like if they want to, they can really put up a massive fight to Ichen de Jong. However, I feel like that window may have gone by. Yeah, as I said before, Eric Gregis was just delaying the inevitable battle with Sam Winton as the I think Northern Irish driver caught up to the Czech driver here with that's a bit of a slide in that Valkyrie. As Sam Winton is going to lose quite a lot of time to Eric Gregis here on exit. That is not something you want to do, as very low is serving a pit stop maybe, or maybe a stop and go. I'm not too sure, but it could be the pit stop. Okay, so it is a pit stop for the fact that the virtual energy tank for these GT3s is not going to last, as we are now going to see also Patrick Silvasi diving into the pits for their pit stop, because even without virtual energy tank, those hypercars are not going to be able to run for a whole hour. So a pit stop is required, as Herman is still right behind Ichen de Jong, and I mean, it looks like they're kinda here where they're close enough where something might happen, but nothing ever happens. So it is actually a very interesting dynamic between these two.
Absolutely. And for now, let us take a look actually at the standings in the middle of the race. We have Ichen de Jong leading ahead of Josef Herman. Edwin Law is is a bit down on the two. You can see them there in the background. However, then we have current still ongoing battle between Eric Gregis and Sam Winton, where Reska Kioso, presumably with a bit of damage, is a bit behind third. Patrick Salvasi just pit, and Daniel Negaitsev had a few issues earlier in the race. Amethysta VTube and G-Fox Foxington are also struggling a bit more today. Alex Curto is leading quite easily in the GT3 class, 18 seconds ahead of Omet Orm right now. Adriel Bonfin is a further 9 seconds behind that. Then with Jannis Sepper, also another 11 seconds behind it. Ubi Diaz, another 14 seconds behind that. Linian Brown and Paul Nicholas Pavik, 4 seconds behind that each again. Terry Lau as well, struggling a bit, having had a pit stop earlier. Ben Law had a bit of an issue, had to pit for a longer time, and Tommy Leto, of course, in the beginning had a disconnect.
Yeah, gutted for all the drivers that weren't able to have a great race, but you know how it is sometimes. You cannot really have everything every time, so I guess issues like that are bound to happen, even though it really sucks. And I know a thing or two about that, because that may or may have not have happened to me as well in a bunch of races recently, as Sam Winton is still right behind Eric Gregis, but doesn't look like he's able to put up with, to really have the aggressiveness to send it and overtake the Ferrari. So Eric Gregis is still able to keep P4 temporarily, but they will have to pay. So it is temporary P4, but virtually I would consider that to be P5, as now they're heading into the technical section. I think that is where Sam Winton is going to be able to catch up the most and maybe send it, but Eric Gregg is just able to pull away in these corners. And let's see now, because this technical section is going to end real soon. As
And the fist of VTube has DNF'd, unfortunately.
Oh, got it for them. As I think that is, yeah, Nagaitsev. This is Nagaitsev catching up on Patrick Silvasi. However, despite these two drivers being quite close in qualifying and technically having a close pace, Nagaitsev has yet to pit. So, I'm not too sure how much Nagaitsev is realistically going to push. Because again, it is not a battle for position, you are on two different strategies. And yeah, once you pit, you are going to be behind, but never mind. Nagaitsev proved me wrong. Maybe they heard me and were like, yeah, let me school you. And absolutely sent it on Patrick Silvasi using the lap car, I think, of Terry Lowe. And gaining temporarily P7. So good on Nagaitsev. And Josef Herman was able to finally... No, never mind.
Josef Herman was able to, in the middle of the corner, overtake, yes, but Ethan de Jong, with a better outside line, was able to defend still from Josef Herman, who is now still in P2 position.
Nice.
The battle between the two is heating up, and, well, looking at backmarkers coming into the picture, there's always still the chance of that being a decisive factor when it comes to going for an overtake, as we see right here as well. Josef Herman very close to Cheech and de Jong in the lead.
Yeah, they're extremely close. However, I don't think quite close enough to actually say. Maybe not. Put us better on this battle, because Josef Herman is really sending it on Ethan de Jong. Had to take a slower exit here. However, they're close enough. No, never mind. Never mind. I feel like Josef Herman really sent it hard, but wasn't really able to capitalize on the exit. If anything, Ethan de Jong was able to capitalize on the exit better than Josef Herman. And damn.
But you know what I just realized?
Yeah?
Edwin Law is catching up to this battle in the lead.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
Also, Daniel Nagaitsev is now in the rear of Reska Kioso.
Yeah. I mean, Nagaitsev, we know that's a fast guy. Reska Kioso, we saw him struggle here and there. And yeah, it is not the... Yeah, I don't think Reska Kioso... I wouldn't say he doesn't have a chance, but I really would not want to be in Reska Kioso's shoes right now. That is... yeah, there is not going to be a funny situation to be in, as Josef Herman is still right behind Ethan de Jong, as Ethan de Jong is able to just keep it ahead, but not able to actually pull away. So Josef Herman, I would argue, has a better pace, but does not have yet the consistency to put that pace to use, as we are now seeing Nagaitsev showing his nose down the inside of Reska Kioso under braking, but not during the corner. He's still right behind. However, I would 100% expect Nagaitsev to actually send it sometime soon. Maybe here, yeah, there we go. Contact, there is contact between the two, as Nagaitsev actually had the inside, as they're now heading towards this corner. Well, wait a second. There is Silvasi that is right behind them and does not let this occasion go. Like, after all, they're technically competing against each other in the championship, so any occasion Nagaitsev can get, they will get it, as Josef Herman went way too wide there. Maybe lock up under braking, as that Toyota doesn't look like he's driving straight anymore. So yeah, maybe contact, maybe lock up. I think that either way, yeah, there's going to be a problem, as Patrick Silvasi is getting rid quickly of Reska Kioso and still chasing Daniel Nagaitsev. And yeah, these two guys are really going to have to do a lot to really fight.
Yeah,
I don't think though that Reska Kioso is going to be able to do much.
Yeah, everything's going on here, and I think Reska Kioso is now finally
In the pits,
diving into the pits. definitely going for the... Well, there's no mandatory pit stop, but you still need to fuel up a bit to make it to the end of the race. That's definitely going to happen. Maybe a bit of repairs as well. Eric Regis also was in the pits for a second time this lap round. But Patrick Salvasi is still on the rear of Daniel Nagaitsev. Both of them are battling for P5 right now. And look at Nagaitsev! Losing it completely. Locking up on the brakes, it seems, potentially. And just sliding into the corner there. And taking a bit of a shortcut now.
Yeah, a bunch of shortcuts here and there. I don't think that the game is going to be happy about those shortcuts. But, ooh.
And it seems like there was a penalty for Kyoso. It says so in the top here. Maybe speeding in the pit lane.
Drive through. Drive through for Reska Kyoso. Yeah, I can confirm it. That is not ideal for a British driver.
Absolutely not the ideal situation that anyone was hoping for here. So right now we do have a bit of a spread out grid once again. Looking at the hypercars, we currently have Ethan de Jong leading ahead of Josef Herman, ahead of Edwin Law, who has now lost a bit of ground to the two cars ahead once again. And we have Sam Winton and Patrick Salvasi in P4 and 5. Daniel Nagaitsev is in P6 with Reska Kiosk in P7. Eric Gregg is now in P8. G-Fox Foxington in P9. And Ben Law in P10 with Amethyst of VTube and Victoras Putikaitis in DNF, unfortunately. In the
when it comes to the GT3s, oh yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I thought we're doing 1-on-1, sorry for interrupting you. GT3s, we have Alex Curto in P1 with an uneventful race, but you know, an uneventful race was what Alex Curto needed, because there is a 20-second gap to Romain Tom. Adriel Bonfirm, 12 seconds behind Romain Tom in P3, then Jan Sepa in P4, and then one lap behind Ubidius, Liam Brownie, Post Niklas Pavlik, and Terry Lowe with Tommy Leto and Gina Messner technically counting here, but yeah, one DNF'd, the other did not start, so what a race from Alex Curto.
Absolutely. A very strong showing. And unfortunately, because of that, not very often on the screen today.
I mean, I'll be honest, I think he's glad about it.
I mean,
because nothing happened. The only thing that is worthy for him to be put on the screen is like, oh yeah, he's dominating. I don't think he minds at all.
Yeah, no. I mean, in terms of that, it is a good thing. Getting points for the championship today. Healthy margin ahead of Omet Om, currently 20 seconds between the two, which is still only going to separate them by 6 points maximum, including the fastest lap bonus point, which currently looks to be awarded to Alex Curter, who has a 2:01.73 in the race, whereas Omet Om has the 2:02.349 in the race. So 0.6 slower on the best lap for Omet Om here compared to Alex Curto. But yeah, Adriel Bonfin then as well, continuing a strong performance, a very consistent performance round on round. Adriel Bonfin always towards the top of the GT3 grid. And
yeah,
he'll definitely need that also for the championship charge. I mean, looking at the points right now, he is currently in P5, still ahead of Alex Curto on the same points, but with technically better positions. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I would say it is a bit complicated, but at the same time it is actually pretty simple. Like, nothing is going to happen here in GT3s, so why even bother, how can I say it? I forgot what I wanted to say. Oh, never mind. However, Alex Curto is right now into the pits. the second noteworthy thing to say about Alex Curto is he's dominating, he's quitting. He's total.
Omet almost still out. Adriel Bonfin is also still out. Both of them are going to stay out for now, as Alex Curto is now getting moving once again.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, he lost a reasonable amount of time, I would say. It's not a massive loss. It is not like too late. I would say that is exactly what I expected. So that is actually quite interesting, as Sam Winton is also pitting. Let's see where they will come out of the pits compared to Eric Gregis, because I mean they are technically competing directly between each other, but it looks like Eric Gregis is I think quite behind.
Yeah, Eric Gregis went into the pits twice. Probably one of them due to having a penalty. So yeah, Eric Gregg is now quite a lot behind Sam Winton right now.
Yeah, I completely forgot about Eric Gregg is trying to pit twice. Oops.
As Josef Herman now is into the pits. First of our leading drivers, with Edwin Law still out, and Etienne de Jong, of course, also still out, still leading the race for now quite safely.
So yeah, very good showing from Etienne de Jong as well. I mean, he showed a very dominant performance, and the most dominant thing about Etienne de Jong is being, I would say, pretty much perfect. There was not a single mistake from this driver. Like, really, like, he set into P1 and he just drove. So yeah, I would say I'm impressed by Etienne de Jong's performance, as Ometom is there. I need to keep it sad. Red Bull Fem still going strong. I do wonder. I really do wonder. Did Red Bull Fem try and not stop this? Like, with extreme fuel saving, is Red Bull Fem trying and not stop this?
I mean, you can always try. He's now 8 seconds ahead of Alex Curto.
Yeah, what do the lap times say? Like, how slower was Bonfin compared to Curto and
Adriel Bonfin is, in terms of the best lap, 2.4 seconds slower, 1.4 seconds slower than Alex Curto, and 0.8 seconds slower than Omet Ohm. So
I mean, maybe. Bonfin going wide. What happened?
Well, Bonfin probably lost the brakes here, as Etienne de Jong is now into the pits. And that is definitely not going to help Bonfin, especially if he wants to go for a no-stop. Because Alex Curto is now right behind him, within sight. And Edwin Lowe is also in the pits.
I think Bonfin has problems. I think that Bonfin actually has some problems, because I saw them going very slowly into that corner. I genuinely feel like...
I mean, usually you brake for a corner and then you go slowly into it, right? Slow in, fast out?
Yeah, but slowing way too early for that corner. I think that Adriel Bonfim had actually 2 issues. Maybe pop-ups on their screen, I'm guessing, because otherwise it's just odd. That was actually something very odd to see. As, again, Bonfim going wide. Some problems here for the Lamborghini driver, as Alex Curto passes ahead, and with Bonfim having yet to serve their pit stop, something must be wrong on the Lamborghini, and I don't know what that is, but it's probably not good. It's probably not good at all. Yeah, look at how slow Bonfim is going to this last corner. I genuinely feel like,
maybe the virtual energy ran out and is trying to lift and coast through the corners.
Oh yeah, maybe.
In any case, Adriel Bonfin now going into the pits. Jannes Seppa as well, and Omet Ohm once again into the pits.
Oh, did Omet Ohm get a drive-through penalty for something?
We'll have to take a look what she is doing. Going through the pits.
Yeah, it looks like a drive-through.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, drive through for Omet on, but nonetheless, they're going to be in P3. Like, that is not awful. They were able to keep the position on Bonfirm and gain the position on Sepa back. However, Liam Brownie, while by doing nothing, has found themselves in P2. So very good on them. Also, yellow flag somewhere. Something must have happened somewhere on the track, but cleared itself. So maybe a driver going wide. However, Omet Tom is now, I think, is now going to charge towards Liam Brownie and try and gain 8 seconds in 8 minutes.
That is...
It is not impossible. I've done that myself, and knowing Omet, I think they can do that as well.
I think that is what they call the Valve strategy, or the Steam strategy. Do nothing, win.
Yeah. Luigi Brownie wins by doing absolutely nothing.
Oh god, yeah. The Luigi strategy, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
For those uninitiated, look up Mario Party. Luigi wins by doing absolutely nothing. Those are amazing videos.
Yeah. It is peak. It is just peak YouTube experience. You cannot get anything better on YouTube than those videos.
Well, cat videos are also quite good.
Fair enough, that's a fair point. As we're now seeing Sam Winton behind Daniel Nagaitsev. However, I feel like I don't feel like Winton is going to catch up to Nagaitsev anytime soon. As it's gaining a lot on the braking, but yeah, I feel like that's just Sam Winton braking a little bit later, and yeah, losing a lot of time on exit. Like the gap went from 1.4 on entry to 1.6, 1.7 now on exit. So, wow. I mean, that is a very good showing from Nagaitsev, despite the issues that they had at the beginning of the race. However, I would say that Sam Winton is not a loser, quite the opposite. Like, Sam Winton went from fighting with Gregis and Rescacchioso to actually staying ahead of them quite comfortably. That is some pretty good showing, all in all.
Yeah, and also catching up to Daniel Nagaitsev now is really strong. I mean, Nagaitsev, we know from past rounds that he is a quick guy, and putting the fight to him is always something that has to be honored in some way. So Sam Winton could honor it right now, or in a couple of laps, by getting P5.
Yeah, I mean, a P5 would already be a great result. I mean, P6 wouldn't be that bad either, considering that would be their first result. So a P6 on debut with such a strong showing, that's not too bad, all things considered.
Absolutely not. Nothing to be ashamed about. Definitely nothing to be ashamed about for any of the finishers in any case. Because racing, especially with these cars for an hour, it's not always the easiest thing to do. As we said earlier, they're quite hard cars to drive, especially the hypercars here, with the high power, lack of traction control, and the lack of anti-lock braking system. So
yeah, it's not going to be easy for the drivers to control the cars. However, and I say this, however, this goes in both ways. It can be difficult for you to control it. The same way it can be difficult for your opponent to control it. So never underestimate what might happen at random moments, like here where Sam Winton was able to gain quite a lot on Daniel Nagaitsev by doing absolutely nothing. That was just a mistake on Nagaitsev's end. As, that is Niklas Pavlik going wide. Yellow flag returning immediately. As we're now seeing Patrick Silvasi and Jose Ferman duking it out here on the main straight. Toyota on Toyota action. Are we going to see a dive from Jose Ferman? I think so, yeah. Jose Ferman is going to send it into P1. But goes
P3.
very wide on exit. Patrick Silvasi, P3, my bad. Patrick Silvasi will strike back and is able to do so, but those might be track limits, so depending on how LNU tracks them.
I think Josef Herman had an issue earlier, otherwise Patrick Silvasi couldn't have gotten ahead of him. because he was like a few seconds up on the road. So maybe Josef Herman locking up the brakes there for a second. Patrick Salvasi being able to capitalize on that. But that now means that this is the battle. This is definitely a championship deciding battle between the two here, potentially. I mean, if they... both of them are pretty much battling for the championship as much as Etienne de Jong is still. It looks like pretty safe for Etienne de Jong to make the leads a bit larger today, but there's still then going to be the battle for P2 in championship if all else fails. So Josef Herman and Patrick Salvasi definitely duking it out for the very important points. We're still into P4, so it's going to be the difference between 16 and 13 points. So 3 points difference, or if we count both of them technically, a 6-point difference directly between the two.
Yeah, I forgot everything you just said. I don't know why, but yeah, I agree. It's a very intense championship battle. I'm sorry. Sometimes my memory is the same of a goldfish. Okay, I can't do much about it.
It's okay. But we have 3 minutes left on the clock, and look at this battle here. Josef Herman really diving into the inside of Patrick Salvasi here. They're side by side, however, on the exit, and Patrick Salvasi has the better line for the next corner, even the better exit here out of the first chicane. Josef Herman doing his usual tactic of trying to catch out the driver ahead. We saw him do that earlier quite a lot with Etienne de Jong. It never worked, but now maybe it works with Patrick Salvasi. He's going to be thinking that. I mean, he has to try something in order to get ahead here up into P3. This battle is, after all, championship important between the two. And on another space on the track, we also have Daniel Negaitsev being very closely followed by Sam Winton now. So coming up into the last 2 laps of the race, there are 2 major battles here still raging on in the hypercar class.
Yeah, and hypercars really giving us amazing battles, as Sam Winton, despite not having a pace to get on Nagaitsev for the whole race, has now either found the pace or Nagaitsev's pace really dropped here at the end. So good on Sam Winton for actually being able to have such a strong battle with such a strong driver. So good showing from the Northern Irish driver here for their first race. I think that's Sam Winton's first race in track. That is close. That was way too close for comfort.
Definitely, and now the both of them are lapping Linian Brown easily on the straight still without any problem. Nothing ventured or gained for either of them. Patrick Salvasi, Josef Herman still battling it out on the start-finish straight now. Very close between the two. Let's see whether there can be anything done. This is gonna be the last lap now, yeah, because Etienne de Jong is now in the second sector. Yeah, it looks like this is going to be the last lap. Josef Herman, however, still very close on Patrick Salvasi. Sam Winton as well, very close on Daniel Negaitsev as they're coming up onto the start-finish straight. Oh, we'll have to see who has the higher top speed. It should be the Valkyrie, I think. But we'll have to see. He dives into the inside. Will it be an overtake? He's side by side. But is it enough for a move? It is enough to go for the inside. Yeah. They're still side by side, however. Through the next second and third corner. Sam Winton, however, with a better line on the inside now for the next corner. Very much pressure to the inside by Daniel Negaitsev.
That was so much door banging there. As it's not over. It is not over as Negaitsev was able to do this switchback on Sam Winton. Wow!
Absolutely close battle between the two here. It seems like Daniel Negaitsev has the better of the two right now. Josef Herman also still very close. Oh, and it seems like there was a bit of an contact there between Negaitsev and Sam Winton. Nothing major, however, and as Etienne de Jong has won the race already, but we still have 2 more battles going on. Edwin Law finishing in P2. But we'll have to see. Josef Herman not able to make any moves. And Sam Winton now losing a bit of the pace on Daniel Nagaitsev. Is now a second behind. It seems that Nagaitsev has either locked in or Sam Winton unfortunately locked out. In any case...
Any case, I think some then guys have got that P5. Like, something awful must happen to Nine guys have at this last corner for Sam Winton to actually pull a P5, and I don't think it's going to happen. See, there we go. Nothing happened.
On another part of the circuit, we have the final battle raging between Ubedius and Terry Lau. This is for P6 in the GT3 class, and it looks like Terry Lau wants to get past Ubedius, not able to do so at the moment. This is still a battle for position. No one has to give space for the other person or let them pass. This is not a lapping situation, so we'll have to see whether Terry Lau... There's only, I think, 2 more corners or 1 more corner left?
One. There is only one, and after this one, only last straight, Terry Lau can try and get a better exit through here. If I were in them, I would try and get a better exit through here. Get the run, get the slipstream, and overtake that Mustang, and it looks like that is what they're trying to do. But that... Oh, that was... Oh, I think that was a bit of a late defensive move from that Mustang. Was it?
Whatever it was, it did work out, it seems, for Ubedius finishing ahead of Terry Lau here.
Wow. That was great action. Really, really great action.
Absolutely it was. And this is now the end of the race. And we do have the standings now. We have Ichon de Jong winning the race ahead of Edwin Law and Patrick Silvasi now in P3. Josef Herman, even though he was so close for a lot of time to Ichon de Jong, only finishing in P4. Daniel Nagaitsev in P5 and Sam Winton on his debut race here in P6. Reska Kioso in P7, Eric Gregis in P8, and G-Fox Foxington in P9 for the hypercars. And we unfortunately also have Amethysta Vitiou, Victorious Butikaitis, and Ben Law DNFing in the hypercar class.
Yeah, when it comes to the GT3s, Alex Curto absolutely dominating. Followed relatively closely by Omet Home, Jasepa in P3. Jasepa, again, very eventful race, but was able to really put it together at the end. Dreadbone Film, I don't know what happened at the end, but they lost so much time. Then Leon Brownie, Ubedius, Terry Lau, and Paul Nicholas Pavlik closed the grid as only 8 GT3s finished the race.
Yeah, Gary Slate and Tommy Leto unfortunately DNFing as well today in the race. And that was the end of the Middle Eastern round here. As Le Mans Ultimate just crashed. Interesting.
Lol. LMU moment.
Perfect timing. Lucky it's now and not any sooner or later. Sooner is probably, well, better would have been if it didn't happen at all. But yeah, anyways, This was the penultimate round of the Continental Circus. And next week we're going to have the finale, which is going to be an endurance race, 2.4 hours around Le Mans. So yes, and if you want to sign up still, there are plenty of spaces left for that race. We are going to fill the grid if at all possible. If you want to race with us, you can look at our Discord, which is going to be linked in the description. And thanks to everyone watching, thanks to especially all of our Patreons for making it possible for us to host these races in the first place. Monetarily, server hosting is not cheap. If you want to support us, the Patreon link is also in the description, as well as a few affiliate links for the Fanatec and the Moza store, in case you ever need sim racing hardware. You can also support us by buying through our links there. Yes, so see you again next week, and until then, be sure to enjoy your life. Thank you so much for watching, and see you on the racetrack.